Okay. So as you people already are aware that from today onwards, we are going to focus on, I'm not saying AWS, it is more like understand that AWS is one among the cloud service providers. So, since it is one of the popular ones, that's why we are going for AWS. Otherwise, we could have gone for any. But then again, the main purpose of this is that you should understand like why we need cloud and what is cloud, okay, and why we need to even switch to cloud, okay. So these are like some of the things that we need to understand, okay. So yeah, let's get started. So initially, I have a document to share with you. Anyhow, this is something we can come back later, okay, though it is the beginning of the document. It is actually like you see, when you are learning about the cloud services, now there are n number of services, okay. So when you have to learn about them, it is good, right, if it is going to benefit you in some way. So the one of the way that it can benefit you is through certifications, right? So this is about that. Then again, it is not for the beginner level. You have to learn well, and then only you can go for the certification. So there are some levels of certification. So there is the initial level as cloud practitioner, then there is the associate level, then professional level. So just see, once you are like well versed with the services, no, then you can go ahead looking for these things, okay. Anyhow, what we need to start with is to understand what is cloud computing, okay. So you might have already come across this terminology, right? Even I think when I was in college, no, that time also I have heard this. But then again, I want to know, like, what understanding do you have of this cloud computing? What brings in your mind? Hmm? I mean I am audible, right?
Yeah.
And what about you?
It's like
Yeah.
data storage and computing power with.
Okay. So basically, if you look here itself, it is mentioned cloud computing is the delivery of computing services on demand that includes servers, storage, databases, networking, software, analytics, and more. Frankly speaking, initially it was just restricted to servers and storage, okay, and then slowly it started expanding, okay. So then it started covering databases, networking, software, analytics, and since they are saying more, that means there is, when it is still growing, right? I mean, there are still new services which is getting added up each time, okay. And that's the reason they are no like adjusting it with the term more, okay. And yeah, another thing about these cloud services is what now why it is said cloud, right? I mean, they could have just called it computing services, but then they are using the term cloud. The reason is, well, yeah, I mean, the services that you are utilizing, no, it is being utilized over the internet, okay. So here they are terming it as cloud basically because, I mean, the way you cannot touch the cloud, the servers or the things that you are utilizing, you're not actually physically in contact with them, but rather you are all, I mean, you are trying to access all those things over the network, okay. And another good part about these cloud services is what this one, which is pay as you go pricing, okay. So that means you're not supposed to pay like a huge sum, okay, in the beginning itself. You're not doing anything like that. Rather, what you're doing is whenever you're consuming some services, according to what prices, I mean, you have to be charged for that given point in time when you're utilizing it, only that is being charged, okay. So that way, you're not going to pay extra. You're not going to be like, I mean, paying like too much, nothing like that. You're only going to pay for what you're using when you're using. That's it. Okay. That's good, right? Okay, so basics of cloud computing. You are probably okay. Tell me one thing. Have you used cloud already, or is it like is it going to be introduced to your lives for the first time now?
Like Google Drive or
Yeah. So you are
maybe
already seeing that the recordings that you're accessing is through Google Drive. Even while recordings, you already have your own Google Drives, right? So yes, you are storing so many things in your Google Drive. So already you are utilizing cloud service, and your email IDs. I mean, your emails, it is only accessible when you have network, right? And all those mails, you are not storing it in your local system. Then where is it getting stored? Have you ever thought about that? And the services like the Netflix, the Amazon Prime and all, they are providing you with these videos and all streaming, right? So do you think that it's all available on your system or on your device? No, right? It's all accessible through the network, right? And so frankly speaking, you already started using cloud services even before you understood the cloud term, right? So yeah, that's the thing about cloud computing. I mean, the term might be sounding like some big thing, but frankly, it is something which has which is already introduced to you, which is already like part of your life. It's just that you just need to identify it. That's it. Okay. And yeah, so possibilities with cloud. So you can perform development, you can perform hosting. When hosting comes in picture, now you can think of many kind of hosting. Actually, hosting can be I mean, what do you mean by host, right? So even my laptop can act like a host, my system can act like a host. So it can be for if I'm going to have some website which is going to be hosted from my system, I can have it that way. Or if I have my system as a host for maybe running some virtual machine, that's again like a host, right? So yeah, hosting can be anything. Okay. I mean, you might have heard, right? Sometimes when you create, I mean, have you people come across Oracle virtual box or something? Have you ever heard of virtual box or virtual machines?
Yes.
Right? You have heard of that. So when you say virtual machines, no, so that means it is virtually accessible to you. I mean, it is consuming the resources which is provided by your host system, and you are just working on your virtual machine, which is like I mean a machine which is virtually there. But, I mean, it is having the hard disk, it is having the RAM, it is having the CPU, but it is actually not having anything of its own, but rather it is sharing whatever is available with your hardware, right? With your host system, right? So virtually it is there, but frankly speaking, it is not existing, right? It is not something which is physically existing, right? So what is it doing? It is basically consuming or say sharing the resources which is belonging to your host system. Okay, so now you should understand what is meant by a host, okay, and what is meant by a virtual machine or a virtual environment. Okay, or simply if somebody asks you what is an environment, you should know about these terminologies. Okay, so sometimes you might have heard that for a given software to run, you have to set the environment. So that means it requires some given settings to be done. Okay, so though that is what they mean by setting the environment. Okay, so it might require maybe some software to be installed, or maybe some dependencies to be installed. So what all things you require in order to run that given application. Once you provide all those things, once those things are provided in the correct path, then you can say that you have set up the required environment. Okay, so, I mean, I'll tell you one thing. Whenever you are part of the development field, no, one important fact about this is that you should be familiar with the terminologies. Okay, so when somebody talks about host or the web server, you should at least know like what exactly do they mean by that. Okay, coming to storage, recovery, and backup. Okay, storage can be any storage. I mean, now if you talk about the S3 bucket, no, or S3, so it is more like a object storage. Now, when we talk about recovery and backup, you can even think about a database, because in databases you have recovery and backup setups, right? Even I'm not saying that it is not there for S3. You can have for S3 as well, but then I'm saying that this terminology, when it is coming along, so you can think about two things, which is you can think about the object storage, you can think about the other storages also. Okay, file storage, you can think about the databases. Okay, coming to on-demand delivery. So now since you are utilizing the cloud service, okay, so there is nobody else, I mean there is no intermediate person, okay, that you have to rely on. So basically what it means is the moment you require a given service, you can utilize it. Okay, you don't need to take permission from someone, or you don't need to wait for your some hardware to be delivered at your site. You don't need to do anything like that. The moment you require something, you can straight away go to your account, you open your account, you like go for the given service that you require, you start that, and you utilize it as per your requirement. Okay, so basically it's all happening on demand, right? As and when you require it, you are utilizing it. Okay. Coming to data analysis, so nowadays, if you see, I mean, data analysis, you know that data has become a vital resource, right? I mean, every organization requires nowadays data, right? So analyzing a data is simply like kind of monitoring it, right? Monitoring in the sense, you monitor the data of some given period of time, and you figure out some given you create some kind of statistics, mainly for the sake of understanding the way things are working, or which is more on demand, or what is happening basically. Okay, or you can say basically figuring out, processing some data. Okay, so nowadays these kind of analytic tools are also coming with cloud uh, platforms. Okay, so you can make use of them, you can do that same thing for your applications through cloud. So that's the next thing. Coming to streaming again, you can think of the Netflix and all, where you get video streamings and all, right? So yes, all these things are possible using cloud. Okay, so those are like what you can do using cloud. Now coming to benefits, do you people remember about flexibility? Flexibility, you can think of the scalability part. Do you remember? I think I spoke about two types of scalability. One was the vertical scalability, another one was the horizontal scalability. Is there anybody who understands these two terms? Hmm? You don't understand, or you don't want to answer? Hmm? Anybody who wants to say?
I know about scaling, but I don't know about vertical and horizontal.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, well, I'll tell you. I think I expected that somebody is going to answer. Anyhow, I think I should only give the answer for this. Okay. So, scalability can be of two kinds. One is vertical scalability, another one is horizontal scalability. Okay. So, when I say vertical scalability, now I'm taking the example of my system. Okay. So, if you see, my system, I'm just giving an example. Okay, not exactly my system, I'm just giving an example. So if I'm considering a system, okay, or say a virtual machine. Okay, so I created a virtual machine which is consisting of say 4 GB RAM. Okay, and maybe 50 GB this one, the hard disk. Okay, and maybe uh, a 2 core CPU. Okay, something like that. Now the thing is, suddenly my application which was running on that virtual machine, and the people who were accessing the data which was coming from that application were increasing. Okay, and suddenly my application gained so much popularity that it was like so much on demand. No, like so many people started accessing it. Okay, and suddenly, my system is not able to like meet up the requirements. Okay, so that means I cannot work with the same system, okay, with the same configuration, okay, anymore. So now what I can do is, there are two things I can do. One is I can go for a vertical scalability. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'll shut down the system, okay, and instead of this, I'll create another virtual machine which is having high configuration, maybe 16 GB RAM, and maybe 1 TB hard disk, okay, and maybe instead of 2 core processor, I'll go for 8 core processor, something like that. So now this is vertical scalability. Basically, I have improved the no, whatever resources I required, I have improved them to a different level. Okay, so this is basically what we mean by vertical scalability. Coming to horizontal scalability. Okay, now there is something like horizontal scalability. So in that, what happens now? Suddenly, if there is a huge demand of my application and there are so many people who are trying to access it, so what I'm going to do is, instead of running a single virtual machine, parallelly I'll run maybe multiple virtual machines. Okay, and it will be configured in such a manner that the request can flow to any of these virtual machine. Okay, so that way, that will create a horizontal scalability situation wherein the demand is getting, or say I mean, whoever is trying to access the data, no, they can, I mean, access through any of these devices. Okay, so that way the load is getting divided among all the systems which are running parallelly. Okay, now that means horizontal scalability. Okay, so flexibility can be spoke in these two manners mainly. Coming to security, you might have already seen, or if you have not seen, then let me tell you, security, the moment you try to log in, that time itself you will see security. Okay, so and then again you will find that I mean, if you look at the web services, no, you will find that there is a separate section just for security purpose, and even security is something which comes along with every other service. And I'll tell you the main reason for this. Okay, the thing is, if you understand one fact about I mean, human tendency. Okay, don't think about anything else, just think about human tendency here. I mean, there was a time when we all like no had all the resources, everything at our own place, right? I mean, all the companies started with the on-premises architecture, right? Wherein every I mean, storage, servers, everything was lying in their own premises, right? So when people start moving from on-premises to cloud, the first thing that comes in picture is whether can they trust, right? I mean, something which is available on the internet, there are more chances of them those resources getting leaked, right? Or somebody having unauthorized access to it, right? That would be the first or primary concern. So I know, I mean, you believe this, right? I mean, one of the main things you might have always heard of, no, like data getting leaked, or I mean, so many news coming, right? Right? I mean, the DDoS. Uh, I mean, you might have heard of so many hacking and all happening, right? Right. So security is a primary concern when you have things on the network. Okay. So with that in mind, security is given high priority. Okay. Whenever they come with the web services, one of the primary requirement is security. So they have to like find points or ways in which they can meet up that requirement, and they do it. Okay. Literally, if you see in every other service, you will find that there is a point where you have to no look into the security point of view. Okay, some they are already following themselves, some they are keeping it as an option for us to decide whether you want to have it or not. Okay, then coming to cost saving, so you already got the point that you have to pay as you go. That means you're not going to pay extra for anything which you are not utilizing. You are only going to pay for what you are utilizing. So that itself is a point where you can say that it is going to save some money. And secondly, when like so many, I mean, they have a huge resource, right? I mean, if you look at the hardware side, they are having huge data centers with so much of hardwares and all. And when you have so many things in a bulk, so anyhow you can expect that there will be cost saving anyhow, right? And there are so many people who are utilizing it. So overall, when it comes to a single person, the way, I mean, the amount of money they have to pay for the services will anyhow come to less, I mean, to a small amount, right? Coming to mobility, so it is not like you have to work at the same place. Okay, I mean, from my location I can work on a data center which might be located at a very different location. And then again, I do have a provision that if I want to shut it down at that location and go to some other location, I do have provision to do that too. Okay, so you do have a provision to choose where you want your resources to be. Okay, I mean, there is nobody who is going to restrict you to any given place or any given location. You can work in any of these locations based on your choice. yeah, that's different. You only have the you are only restricted to choose among the locations where they have the data center. You cannot go beyond that. But then again, they have enough of data centers to choose from. Okay, so you won't have that much difficulty also in choosing. Insight, quality control, disaster recovery. Okay, there are quite many points, right? Okay, on a overall basis, just understand that advantages when it comes to the cloud services, no, that's quite many. Okay, so anyhow, some of these points, no, like disaster recovery and all, these are something which makes more sense when you come across them. Okay, so disaster recovery, again, it's a point, or if I say quality control, these are points which can be spoke in terms of many services. Okay, it's more like a general point, so I'm not going to like give reason for them. Okay, so just understand that it's more like a overall way. Okay, like on a overall basis, for every service you can find these kind of points which is being like showcased in each of these cases. Okay, now coming to challenges in cloud computing. Okay, now yeah, challenges you can see. First challenge itself is reliability and availability. Reliability, so like how much you can rely on a given service. Availability is again something which is like how much you can find the services to be available at your location, or maybe based on the network and all, right? When you have to access something through network, availability is a matter of concern, right? Consider that you have to, you have a like company which is working on a given service which is, which is very critical for your service. Okay, and if at all there is no network, you cannot really work on that, right? So it really matters. What really matters is availability at that point of time. Then again, if you look at like from the AWS point of view, okay, from their end, they are actually managing it well, because they have linked with so many internet service providers. Okay, so that way they are keeping up their link quite strong. So the only thing that you have to think about is from your end to the network, how good you have the service. Okay, so that's the only thing that you need to bother. Then coming to security and privacy, so as I said, these will remain a question mark for some people until unless they don't confirm it for themselves. Okay, so that's the thing about it. Interoperability and portability, well, this will come in picture when we understand one of the architecture. Okay, so I'll come to this point at that point, when we discuss that. Okay, performance, well, performance is again that people have to measure themselves. Okay, so frankly speaking, by the way, the moment you start using the services, you yourself will know that the performance is much much better than the normal way. Okay, if you have your own hardware, you have to set up the things from the very scratch, and when you get started, the way you have to do each and everything, and there if you just go and just no do some 3 or 4 clicks and getting things done, so there is a huge difference there itself, right? So yeah, you will get to know when you use it. Bandwidth cost, well, as you see, frankly speaking, it doesn't cost much. Okay, once you start using it, you will get to know yourself the moment you see the bill. Okay, because even after using for hours, the way they charge is still much much better. And then again, they have some no some given schemes, or say some given ways in which you can save money. Okay, some plans are there. Okay, so that way, if you make use of it, rather you will find that the more you use, no, or say if you have a fixed period in which you are going to use these services, they actually charge you with a with a discount. Okay, so you are charged less compared to if you're only using for a limited period of time. Okay, so you will find that there are a lot of advantages that you'll get to have when you are working on the cloud. Okay, compared to a on-premises structure. So yeah, characteristics of cloud computing: on-demand self-service, Self-service because you are not utilizing all the services. I mean, now if you look at AWS, there are around 200 plus services, but you are not going to use all of them, right? All that you are going to use is whatever you require. Okay, so that is, I mean, it's all as per your requirement. Okay, and you are going to, I mean, at the moment you feel like you need a virtual machine, you are going to create one for yourself, right? So it's like a self-service, and again on demand, because you are only going to create when you require it, right? So yes, both the point gets covered there itself. Broad network access, as I said, they have link up with so many internet service providers, so that way your network is always going to be up. Okay, from their end. Yeah, other thing that you have to see is your own end. Okay, resource pooling. Have you heard of resource pooling anytime? Is there anybody who is aware of the logical volume management, LVM? Hmm? Anybody who has expertise in working with Linux based system? Hmm? You might have heard of resource pooling then, or at least if somebody has worked with virtualization, maybe Zen server or VMware, anything. Hmm? Nobody? Seriously, no one has worked on any of these things. Okay. Okay, so okay, let me tell you what is the resource pooling. And even, you might have seen it in your own system, you know. So you might have seen, right, in your system, okay, in your hard disk, if at all you don't go for creating the drives and all, you can have the entire drive, I mean, the entire hard disk as a single drive, right? So it will be like a huge resource, right? But what we generally do, as soon as we get our system, we try to divide the hard disk into multiple drives, right? And we use it like separate drives, and that way we are making use of it. So resource pooling is nothing but, consider that if your system is having maybe 3 or 4 hard disks, you try to compile all the resources that is being provided by all those 4 or 5 hard disks, okay? And instead of using it like separate, you can use it as a combined single resource. Okay, so that is what is meant by resource pooling. Okay, I mean, it's all up to you how you want to use. Rapid elasticity. So anytime you feel like the number of virtual machines required for your your particular application is not enough, you can increase it, you can decrease it. Like if like requirement is less and you are running too many like virtual machines, you don't need that many, you can just remove 1 or 2 as and when required. Okay, it's all up to you whether you want it to grow or whether you want it to shrink. Okay, so that's all up to you. Measured service. Well, can somebody think of what is measured service? Uh, I mean, when somebody says measuring, what do you mean by measuring? Hmm? Just guess. Try to guess. What comes in your mind when you listen the term measuring? Hmm? Nothing comes in your mind. Guys, come on, participate. You have to say something at least, right? Just try to say something. Okay, I think I only have to answer. Well, when you say measuring, what you mean is basically monitoring. Okay, in the sense, when you monitor something, you actually get to know things. I mean, you can think about the scalability only here. I mean, how scalability, I will tell you. In the sense, consider that I have like parallelly, I'm running, say, 4 virtual machines, okay, to meet up the requirement of my application. Okay, and the client demands, like so many people are trying to access the data from my application. Okay, and so for that sake, I started running 4 virtual machines, and at some given point of time, maybe during the lunch time or something, okay, that time there is less demand for the application. Okay, so unnecessarily like 2 virtual machines are running. So now I need to measure it, right? I mean, if I have a way in which I can measure these services which are running, so I can actually reduce the requirement. Reduce the virtual machines or the resources being consumed unnecessarily, right? And the moment there is a requirement, I can increase the number of virtual machines and try to meet up the requirements. So basically, when you say measuring, you are actually trying to analyze the use of the resources and trying to make it like a proper use, right? I mean, you don't want it to go unnecessarily waste. At the same time, you don't want to have like a less number of resources which is not even meeting up the requirements. Okay, you don't want that. You want to have basically the required amount of resources which can meet up the requirements, which is I mean coming from your client. Okay, and you want to do it in a proper manner rather than, I mean, neither you want to suffer nor you want your clients to be suffering, right? So that's about the measured service. Yeah, now comes this. Okay, now this is important, which is the deployment pattern. Okay, so the first of all, you should know the different layers. So I think we did speak about this, but then again we'll just see about them one more time. So so the different layers. Okay, the way this is actually, I mean, the cloud computing layers here. This is nothing but the way the responsibility is getting divided. Okay, so the first one we have here is infrastructure as a service, IaaS. Okay, anybody who remembers this IaaS? Hmm? So cloud computing layers. So these are nothing but, as I said, how you divide the responsibility. Okay, so the first one that we have is IaaS. Okay, and here S has to be capital. The second one we have is PAA. Okay, AS. Third one is SaaS. Okay, so first one stands for infrastructure as a service. Second one stands for platform as a service. Third one stands for software as a service. Okay, anybody who remembers what is infrastructure as a service? Service. Okay, I think I only have to answer. Okay. Okay, so when you say in infrastructure as a service, you should first of all know what is meant by infrastructure. So infrastructure is nothing but more like, you can consider the hardware part. Okay, where the server, storage, database, everything comes in picture, networking, all those things. Okay, so when somebody says infrastructure as a service, that means you are going to utilize the web services or the cloud services for the sake of consuming infrastructure, or say the hardware part. Okay, in the sense, you want the I mean, virtual machines, or you want the database which is all running in your the cloud. Okay, and apart from that, the rest of the things you are going to upload, or you are going to put in your virtual machine, or whichever resource you are using. Your application that you're running is your application. The patches that you are going to create for the application, it's all going to be your responsibility. Basically, maintaining everything will be your responsibility, but then again, the hardware part is going to be from the web service. Okay, platform as a service. So here you can consider that, say for example, operating system can be considered as a platform. So if you're going to use the image, okay, the Amazon machine image. Okay, so basically the virtual, I mean, see, whenever you're creating a virtual machine, one of the first thing that you have to decide is what image it is going to consume, right? Have you heard of image, ISO image or anything? When you have created some virtual machine, you might have heard this term, right? Have you? No? Okay. I mean, whenever you create some virtual machine, you might be providing the operating system, right? Now, operating system, when you see, I mean, if online you are going to search for operating system, no, it is going to come in terms of ISO images, which you can burn on CDs, or even nowadays you can use the pen drives. Okay, pen drives you can convert into bootable sticks. Okay, and you can use that for I mean, booting your system, okay, with the operating system. You can do that. Even otherwise, when you are creating virtual machines, you can just have some ISO images downloaded in your system. You can utilize that for having the virtual the operating system in your virtual machine. Okay, so images are nothing but you can consider it to be the operating system itself. Okay, so when you are going to consume the hardware as well as the software, okay, and in the sense the the images and all, okay, the platform, basically operating system is more like a platform, right, wherein you can run your application. So when you are consuming your web service in that manner, okay, wherein you are giving the hardware part along with the operating system part to the web service, okay, and only the application that you want to run, only that part is being taken care of by you. That's when you can say that you are using it in the form of platform as a service. Okay, coming to the third one, which is software as a service. Okay, so basically nothing is your responsibility now. Everything is going to be taken care of by the cloud. All that you are doing is you are just consuming it. Okay, as and when you require it, you are consuming it. That's it, nothing else. So can you think of any example in this manner? Okay, I mean the software as a service. No. Gmail, you use email services, right? Whether it be Gmail, Yahoo, whatever that is. So email services, what you're doing, nothing, no, you are just consuming it. I mean, you are sending mails, you are checking your mails. What other than that, what you are doing, you are not creating the mailing service, you are not updating it, you are not doing anything in addition to that. Whatever is coming, whatever changes they are doing, you are just utilizing it, right? So that would become a software as a service, an example for software as a service. Okay, so these are majorly the different layers, or say the different way you can use the cloud services. Okay, basically you can use it for just the hardware part, the hardware plus maybe the operating or the operating system or the platform part. Okay, thirdly, you can use it like everything is done by the cloud services. All that you are doing is using the services that is being provided. So that is the software as a service part. Okay, where nothing is being taken care of by you. Okay, so these are the few things that you should remember. Okay, and remember that this is one of the major things that you should understand. Okay, before going to cloud, these are some of the things that you should understand first. Okay, then what do we have? Okay, yeah, now this is another thing, another major thing which comes in picture, which is the deployment model. Okay, so okay, there are like 3 deployment models that we have. Okay, let me just note it down for you. Deployment model, though it is the way it is mentioned in that document, though I find it reverse. Okay, so I believe that we should always start with the first and the oldest one. Okay, which is the on-premises. You will find that there are still companies which are running in on-premises. Okay, then second one which comes in picture is the hybrid. Okay, and the third one, you can say the cloud, or you can even put the cloud as the second one. Okay, anyhow, can somebody tell me, when you hear on premises, what do you understand by that?
Does it mean like your servers are server and everything is on the premises, like where you are working?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean, earlier companies, whenever they used to start, what they used to do is they used to purchase all the servers, storages, the networking devices. Now, when you say about servers, storages, another things that comes in picture is the maintenance devices. Like when servers are running for 24/7, as I said, it starts heating up. So one of the major things that you require would be cooling devices like air conditioners. Okay, so every server room you will find that they have air conditioning. Okay, then again, when you have servers which are running like, so I mean, say for months together, or even they are continuously running, Another thing that comes in picture is power supply. They should have uninterrupted power supply, right? So UPS systems will be there, okay, to maintain those systems, right? So that they have the power all the time, okay, so it can run without having uninterrupted power supply. So sometimes, no, if servers are running and suddenly the power goes and there is no UPS system, okay, so the servers do get damaged because of that. The sudden surge will be there, and even when suddenly the power comes, no, so sometimes there will be surge current, okay, because of that also the devices can go bad, okay. So you will always see that whenever you have a data center, you will find these basic maintenance devices always available there, okay. Then again, when you have so many servers, another things will be there, like servers will be there, storages will be there, and when you have all these things, different types of cables also comes in picture, okay. So you will be having power cables, you will be having networking cables, you will be having the optic fiber cables, you will be having the network cables, okay, the ones which has the RJ45 connectors, okay, so those will be there. So many things comes in picture. And when you talk about the networking devices, again, routers will be there, switches will be there, firewalls will be there, okay. So there are n number of things that comes in picture when you talk about a data center, okay. So in earlier times, what they used to do is, the moment a company is built, they will start building, buying, purchasing the devices, okay, the servers. So when you talk about the blade servers, again, the racks come in picture, okay, so in which they are kept. And if you talk about workstations, so huge workstations will be there, okay. So all those things are to be purchased, okay. And when these devices are purchased, again, the softwares that is put in them, okay. So even if operating system along with the license required for that, if it is going to run databases. Now if you look at the Oracle database and all, it doesn't come free of cost. You have to purchase the license if you have if you want to get the support from the given company, okay, whenever there is a data recovery or backup issues, okay. So all those things comes in picture, okay. So when you say on premises, you mean that you have an actual data center which is having all these equipments, all these devices. Okay, so that was the first most way of deploying the data centers, or say a given company, any software company used to start that way in earlier days. Okay, then started the hybrid. Okay, hybrid in the sense, people who are not very confident with the cloud, no, but then again they wanted to try it. They won't directly go to start everything in the cloud, but rather they will. And even nowadays also, okay, nowadays also, those who had a previous system which was working in on premises, no, they cannot straight away think of no switching to cloud, okay, especially if they are consider maybe a medium tier, or say like a full-fledged company. They cannot straight away think of changing everything to the cloud just like that, okay. It cannot happen that way. So what they do is, they will try to shift, okay, say migrate. The actual term should be migrate, not shift. Okay, so they will try to migrate like bit by bit, okay, part by part, okay. And this migration, how how they'll be doing, like some part of it they'll start deploying in cloud, okay. And they won't do it like, they stopped at one point and they started the other one in cloud. That's not the way they'll do, but rather the thing which is running on premises, they'll keep it as it is, okay, and try to replicate some part of it in the cloud, okay, and try to test it first, okay. And once they feel like it can like take the load of whatever application is running, if that is going to work, then they'll start migrating like part by part, in the sense they'll start connecting their other part of the device, or other part of the system with this the cloud architecture, okay. And then they'll see whether their system is working fine, okay, and their the application is working just fine, everything is going fine. If that is the case, then they'll start doing the same thing with other part of your part of the system. Okay, and slowly they'll try to deploy everything on the cloud. Okay, so whenever they have to switch from one architecture to another one, no, they cannot do it just like that. Always they'll be doing it by just doing some part. Okay, they'll always try to replicate some part of it on the cloud and try to move it bit by bit. Okay, so that is what you mean by hybrid. So it is partially on the premises, partially on the cloud. Okay, coming to cloud, especially if you see the ones who are starting new business. Okay, that too recently. Okay, not in earlier times, recently, because if you see the olden times, people are not like they will trust things very quickly. They won't do that. Okay, the trust issues were some of the, was one of the things that you will find in the stereotypical people who belong to that era. Okay, so and nowadays, whereas you will find people who like give importance to the modern thinking, the new thinking, right? More like the Renaissance, right? So cloud is, so people who cannot purchase everything like straight away upfront. So what they do is they will start their business on the cloud itself. Okay, they'll utilize the cloud, they'll create a basic infrastructure, and as their business is growing, they'll try to deploy more of resources on the cloud and try to take full advantage of the cloud. Okay, so that's what I mean by cloud. Okay, basically everything on the cloud. Okay, everything is going to be through network. There are people who have done it. Okay, and they are taking full advantage of the cloud. But then the only problem with this is that they should have good amount of knowledge of the services and should be good enough to, the knowledge should be good enough to take advantage of the services. And the I told you about there are some plans and all, right? Which the cloud service providers are only providing. So if they have good idea about all those things, then they can use, they can take maximum advantage. Okay, so that's the thing about having your architecture or your entire model on the cloud. Okay, understanding?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this was about the different deployment models. So if at all you have to start a business, what you will go for? The olden way of going with the on-premises, or the hybrid, or the cloud?
Cloud.
Cloud.
Okay. Well, and another point, here is that I told you, right, when you go for the on-premises, you have to purchase everything upfront. Okay. Another, so here you understand that the initial capital will be high, right? You have to have that much money to start everything, right? To at least create the structure and all, right? That is one thing. Another part of it is when you have all these devices, no, there are chances. Always understand that hardware is not something which is trustworthy. Even softwares are not. Time and again you will find that there is change with everything, right? Especially hardwares, because no, it is quite soon that hardwares get obsolete. Okay, and nobody, they manufacturers themselves will stop manufacturing some devices. Okay, so because of that reason, no, you cannot use some given hardware which you might have purchased maybe 3 years back. You cannot work on the same thing after 3 years or say 5 years. Okay, so you might always have to buy new equipments after a certain period of time. So it is always like you have to always have a huge capital in hand to think of a on-premises data center. Okay, and these devices, the moment there is a glitch, there is a issue with the power supply or anything, hardware, right, it can even get affected by the environmental conditions. If at all there is humidity, anything, it can get bad, right? So when so many things or so many criterias are there, you can yourself understand that how much difficult it is to maintain a data center. Okay, so and how much like money you have to additionally pay just to maintain those things. And even after maintenance also, if at all it goes bad or something goes wrong, you have to have, you have to bear all those losses. But whereas when you are consuming the cloud services, you really need not bother about what hardware is being used or if it is going to go bad. You just need to think of, okay, this virtual machine is not working, I'll just shut it down, I'll start another virtual machine which is going to help me with doing the things. Okay, that's it. How no simple it is, right? You don't need to bother about what hardware they are going to provide you or anything. You if you are not satisfied, you can just stop it, you can start another one. So as simple as that. Now, as I said, cloud service providers, there are many cloud service providers. The one which we are going for is just because they have gained a lot of popularity and they are the first ones, or say the pioneers in this field. That's it. Okay. So cloud service provider, when that comes in picture, so these two might be the ones that you generally get to hear. Even Google Cloud, you might have heard, GCP, Google Cloud Platform. Uh, Other than that, the main ones you might have heard is the AWS, Amazon Web Service. Another one is the Microsoft Azure. Okay. And third, you might have heard the Google Cloud Platform, Alibaba Cloud, IBM Cloud. So basically, the moment some service comes in picture, it starts gaining popularity. You will find a number of people who are going to invest on the same platform, right? So yeah, there are quite many people who are in this field. Okay, but then again, there are some who have like gained the trust and even gained popularity enough so that people go after them. Okay, rather than going to others. Okay, that's the only difference. But then again, if you look at the fact, if you know these services provided by one of them, you will have some idea about these services which is being provided by others. It is same as purchasing a laptop or purchasing a mobile phone. So you know that at a basic level, all of them have the same features. In addition, they might have some few features here and there, and maybe some different naming convention or the icons, right? The same thing applies to the web services as well. Okay, so basic services will be same, like the servers will be there, storage will be there, database will be there, networking will be there. Okay, the names might be different, the symbols might be different, the way they call it might be different. That's it. Underlying concept will remain the same. Okay, so that's what you need to understand when you hear so many names and terminologies. Okay, so nothing more, nothing less. Okay, then what do we have? Okay, so now an introduction to Amazon Web Service. Okay, so the first thing that you need to understand when you come to Amazon Web Service is the global infrastructure. Anyhow, I did speak about this, but then again, I'll just show you. The thing is, whatever you have in that document, no, will be a age-old thing. And the thing is, these web services are also something which is ever changing. Okay, so you cannot rely on a document that you have seen yesterday, because yesterday, even if you would have looked at the official website, it might have looked a little different. Today there might be something new. Okay, so always try to stick to the latest one, okay, in these matters at least. So when I say the global infrastructure, what I mean by this is like what all, the basic terminology that you need to be aware of is regions and availability zones. Okay, what are regions and what are availability zones? And just look at this. Here it is saying 25 launched regions and 81 availability zones. And just look at here as well. Okay, so here they are saying 7 announced regions, right? So that means 7 more are going to come up. Okay, now if you look at what these regions are, so can you see here it is mentioned the blue ones are the regions. Okay, so if you look at this, here something is written, right? So here it is saying it is Ohio region, which is launched in 2016, and it consists of availability zones, which are like 3 availability zones are there under this region. Okay, then you can see some here, right? And there is no details provided. It's just saying that it is going to come soon. That means these availability zones, these regions are the ones which are announced but not yet established. Okay, so the blue ones are established. It is already working, up and running. Okay, So what do you think a region is, and what do you think a zone is, availability zone is? Do you people remember? I think we discussed on this, right? No? Yeah, I mean, Shivani, you want to say something?
I'm not sure about the availability zone, but I think geographical zone is something where is their data, is where their servers are, I guess.
Okay. Okay, so actually regions are like the geographical locations, okay? Locations. So if I talk in a bit of programming terms, no, I can say that this is like a superclass and this is like a subclass, or say a superset or subset. Okay. I mean, basically it is like, no, regions are more like the physical locations, the geographical locations, right? And availability zones are like the data centers. Okay. You can think of availability zones as the data centers. Okay. Now, if you might have seen the regions, no, regions were, I mean, some of the regions that you have seen, it was having maybe availability zones were 3, or I mean, like that, right? Mostly you might have seen 3, but basically it is said that a given region should have at least 2 availability zones. Okay. So that means it doesn't mean that there will be only 2 data center. Now the thing is, each availability zone, no, okay, each availability zone can have one or more data centers, one or more data centers. Okay. So when I say like a given region is having 2 availability zones, it just means that there can be multiple data centers. The way it is placed, you know, like in a given availability zone, if there are like 2 data centers, just consider 2 data centers, they'll be placed at a safe distance, but then still if you look at the geographical location, it will be close by. Okay, that's why they are considered as a single availability zone. Okay. Now if I talk about the like in a given region there are different availability zones, then you can consider it more like, you know, like 3, like which is having quite a good amount of distance from one another. Okay. And if you look at the region are quite big one, right? So you can understand that in a given region, when they say availability zone, they are having good amount of distance among themselves, but still they are lying in the same region, which is Canada Central here. Okay, in this case, are you getting this point? Are you people understanding what is meant by a availability zone and what is meant by a region, or is it confusing? Do you want me to repeat it? Just understand that geographical location, when you hear geographical location, you can think of region. Availability zone, you can think of, as of now, just consider it as a single data center. Okay, just consider that when I say availability zone, it's a data center. Okay. And if I say 3 availability zone, you can just consider for now as 3 data centers lying at a safe distance. Why I'm saying safe distance? Because when you have so many systems, hardware is running, okay, there are always chances of some accident, some incident. Okay. So it is always preferred that to keep such data centers at a safe distance from one another. Okay. Still not very far, because it has to still belong to the same geographical location. Okay. So think of it as that. Okay. Understanding now? Is it
Yes.
simple enough to understand? Okay. So basically this is about the, I mean, this is mainly what you need to know. Okay. Regions and availability zones. Okay. So whenever, if possible, whenever you are working with the regions and availability zones, okay, I mean, whenever you're working with the AWS services, make sure that you are updated with these 2 things. Okay. So because these things keeps changing. Okay. Okay. I mean, when I used to see it earlier, that time it was having maybe some 80 availability zones and all. Now you can see, right, how much it has increased, right? And it is still going to increase further. So yes, be sure to be updated. Then what do we have? Okay. Yeah, now comes the way we can access the resources. Okay, so how we can access the AWS services. So there are different ways you can access. Mainly what you will be accessing through is the management console. Okay, the one which we have seen, but anyhow, I'll just show you once again. Another one is the command line interface. So there is a CLI as well associated with it. So we'll just have a look at that too. Then there is something like the software development kit or SDKs. Okay, through that also you can access. But generally, you will find that only some people will be accessing it this way. Okay, and even CLI also, everybody don't go with that. I mean, it is good to access that way, but it's just that you have to be really good with the commands and all. Okay, that's all. Okay, so the first thing that you have to do, okay, is that you have to sign in. I mean, you have to create an account. Okay, first thing that you need to do. How many of you have created an account by now? Nobody.
I
I
do.
have account.
Okay, yeah, if you have account, that's good. If you, I mean, those who don't have account, make sure you create one. Okay, and by default, they will be prompting you to create a free tier account. And do understand, free tier doesn't mean free of cost. Free tier only means that there is some no conditions applied. It is free till you follow those conditions. Okay, the moment you don't follow it anymore, you don't get the advantage of free tier. Okay, as in you cannot have the services for free of cost, okay, anymore. So basically these are what is meant by free tier. Okay, so it is not entirely free. What they are saying is easy to service if you consume for 750 hours. Okay, and that too for T2 micro. So I mean, the instance type should be T2 micro. Okay, that is for almost all the regions. But for some regions you will find that even for T3 micro, it is providing the free tier account. Okay, so free tier account is not applicable to every instance type also. Okay, so the only instance type that it is supporting is mainly T2 micro in all the accounts, I mean, or in all the regions, and T3 micro in some given regions. Okay, so that is what they mean by that. 750 hours per month. Okay, remember that. And also, as you see, what they are saying is pay as you go, right? So what they mean is, even if you are not using it, okay, you just created an EC2 instance, you started it, and you forgot to stop it, and still it is running, right? So it is running means the hours is going to increase. So of course, then also you will be paying once it crosses this limit. Okay, so make sure, even if you are not utilizing it, you make it a point. If you started some service, you are not utilizing it, please do stop it. Okay, you terminate your EC2 instance, or at least make sure to stop it at least. Okay, so do that. Coming to S3 service, S3 is nothing but a simple storage service. Okay, it's an object storage service. So if you store beyond 5 GB, then you are going to be charged. Okay, and that too, remember they are mentioning here that it is standard storage that they are talking about. So there are different types of storage too. Okay, so by default, the way you are going to store is using the standard storage. Okay, so there are few criteria that you need to follow. Once you follow all these criteria, you can make use of the free tier account. Like, I mean, you don't need to pay unnecessarily. Okay, so anyhow, the moment you are you are learning, right? So you don't need to unnecessarily pay for anything. So make sure that you are not consuming anything beyond what is required. Okay, and you are being careful. Okay, so if you are not using something, make sure you shut it down, you stop the service. Okay, and when you're learning something, if you have to pay something, so make sure that it is only to the extent that you're learning, and only for that purpose, how much you require to pay, only that much you are paying. Okay, so that means you use it till the time you are doing your experiment. The moment you are done with your experiment, once you have understood the concept, try to shut it down, try to not consume anything further than that. Okay, yeah, that's the thing. So here are, I mean, here they have mentioned all the services. Okay, so if you just go on looking at those services which you want to consume, okay, just see to it whether they come in the free tier or not. And yeah, then again, remember one more thing. I told that free tier is not completely free, right? So there are some services which doesn't come free at all. Okay, here there are some, like, I mean, until 750 hours it is free, right? So there are services which is charged as and when you start using it. Okay, so please make sure you have a look at this chart, okay, before you actually go on consuming the services. Anyhow, during our sessions, no, we are not going to consume anything like that. Okay, so we are just going to use some few services. Hopefully that won't make you charge as such. Okay, maybe you might be charged a bit for elastic beanstalk. Apart from that, I doubt that you will be charged at all. So yeah, that's what. Just make sure that you have a look at this. And yeah, make sure you create this one account. Okay, so since you have to utilize all these services, since you need to familiarize with the cloud services, make sure you create your account. Okay, now I don't know whether while you are creating your account for the first time you will be asked for providing the credit card details or not. Well, I had to. Okay, so it's nothing. I mean, even if you provide, they are not going to charge you heavily or something. For me it was like initially they charged me some 1 rupee. Okay, and that too which was getting refunded after a few minutes. All they want is as and when you are creating the account, that time they are only charging you. But I believe at I mean, I heard from some other candidates that at US you don't need to do that. You can, I mean, you can create an account without being charged or without being providing any of those details. Okay, so just see whatever it is for you. Yeah, then what you need to do is, apart from this, I want you to like download one more thing and install that in your system, which is AWS CLI. Yeah, let me see. I think this only. Mhm. Okay, and notice one more thing. The moment I mention AWS CLI download, no, they will directly, no, I mean, navigate me to this version. Okay, version 2. Okay, so there is another version which is the version 1. Okay, CLI version 1, but they will be navigating you to version 2. Nothing. The reason that they are going for like version 2 is because version 1 is like, I mean, it belonged to a period or say an era. That time like so many services were not in picture. Okay, so some of the commands that you will be able to run in version 2, you cannot run the same commands in version 1. So please go for version 2. Okay, and go for the latest one. Okay, and yeah, that's it. And here you will find all the like I mean, what all things you need to know. And yeah, please do see what operating system you're using. According to that, you follow the document, you'll be able to install it in your system. Okay, and you will get the version whatever you need to download. No, you will also get all those things here itself. Okay, so now in my system it is already there, so I don't need to do it. So if you want, you can go for that. Okay, and please do follow the document. You will get to know like how to install it and how to check whether, I mean, verify whether it is installed correctly or not. Okay, so do that. So these are the two things I want you to do as on today. Okay, and from tomorrow onwards we'll actually figure out the different I mean, services that we have in picture. Okay, so as of now, let me do one thing for you, which is I'll just show you one of the services. Okay, and the reason I'm showing you is because like there are two things that I want to show you. So let me see if I'm able to, I'll show you. Before that, please guys, I mean, just have a look at this. Okay, so the moment I wanted to sign in, it is giving me some option, right? What option I'm getting? One is it is saying that I can sign in using the root user. Another one, it is saying that I can sign in using the IAM user. Okay, so the root user, it is mentioned account owner that performs tasks requiring unrestricted access. Okay, so that means somebody who has full access, right? Like, I mean, in your Linux system also you hear the root user is nothing but a super user, right? Who has got all the privileges, who can access anything, who can do anything and everything. So here also you have root user. By default, when you sign in for the first time, you sign in as the root user. Okay. And the other one that you have is IAM user within an account that performs daily tasks. So the reason that they are saying that somebody who is within your account, but only, I mean, having the privilege to perform the daily tasks. So that means understand that it is going to be like a subset, or somebody more like, I mean, you can consider that this account is more like a master account. This is more like a slave account, which is only having limited privileges, wherein you are going to only give them that, I mean, only some privileges which you only need for doing some given task. Okay, so that is what you mean by IAM user. So now let me just sign in using my root user, though it is not a good practice, but then again I'm doing it. So I'm not asking you to follow me here. Okay, you should, I mean, if you are going to practice the best, I mean, you are going to follow the best practices, then make sure that you are only signing in for the first time using a root user. As soon as you sign in for the first time, create an IAM user, okay, with limited privileges. Okay, and from then onwards you just sign in using that IAM user. Okay, yeah, I spoke about security, right? Just look at this. Isn't this a little torturing kind? The moment I gave the email ID, they are asking me to mention these captcha code. Okay, so be it, right? And then again, no, they are actually forcing me to go for another thing, which is the multi-factor authentication. That is another thing. I mean, another level of security. Okay, no problem. Security, I mean, I told you, right, whenever you go for something like a web service, one of the primary concern would be security. But the moment you start using it, you yourself will be like clear with the fact that security is getting, I mean, is prioritized here. It is given high priority and taken care of, right? And yeah, so you can see that here I have my username mentioned over here. You find that here something is mentioned, right? This, can you read it? What is mentioned over here? It is saying Oregon, right? Yeah. If you just look at this, I mean, can you see there are so many names mentioned over here, right? So these are actually nothing but the regions. Okay, so there are so many regions as what is mentioned over here. Okay, generally it is said that to have best services, you should always go for a region which is close to your geographical location, wherever you are located. Just go for a region which is near to you. Okay, so there you will have I mean, the latency will be less. Latency, right? All of you understand latency, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so latency is nothing but the delay. Okay, when I say latency, I am actually talking about the delay. Since these services are all accessible through network, one of the primary concern that you might have is that whenever you are trying to access a given service, you should get low latency, right? I mean, the delay should be less. Okay, so if you want the delay to be less, actually speaking, it doesn't matter. Okay, I mean, the moment you start using it, you will get to know that even far away regions are also fine. Like when you are using the services, no, you won't find that much delay. Okay, but then again, they generally suggest that whichever region is near to you, you should make use of that region. Okay, so this is the actual region name. When you will see some services, no, like when you're consuming some services, you will see that internally the name that is mentioned is in this manner. Okay, so you will find this kind of tagline. Okay, so by default, if you see here, it is mentioned Oregon, right? So where is Oregon? Here, right? US West 2. You can see here also it is mentioned that way. Can you see here? So that's how they mention the region. Now we'll see IAM user. Okay, I mean, sorry, IAM service. Initially, the best practice is, somebody taught me this, I want to teach you also. Okay, so the best practice that you should follow initially is that you don't type the services directly over here, but rather what you should do is initially just go and search the service. Okay, so when I said IAM, just find it out like where it comes. So basically these are like the category, okay, category of service. So when I say compute, you can see if one of the first service it is showing is EC2, right? If I say storage, the first service that comes under that category is S3. Okay, so you should be familiar like which category, whatever service that you're going to consume or you're going to use, what category it belongs to. Okay, so that way you will have a better understanding of the services. Okay, so I said IAM. Just let me, somebody help me with that, like to find out where I can find it. Do you find it anywhere? Not yet. Could you people find IAM service anywhere? No, it is there right here. It is coming under security, identity, and compliance. Okay, so the first service that you find here is IAM. So let's go there. Oh yeah, there is one more thing I had to tell you. So the thing that I want to tell you is okay, so the dashboard has changed. Okay, earlier the dashboard that I used to see was a little different from this, but anyhow, that doesn't matter. Yeah, so what I want to say is, now you saw that I have logged in using the this one, right? The what do you say, the GUI, right? Basically through browser, right? This the dashboard that I was getting, no, right? Earlier, the home page and all, this is what you call the management console. You might have seen it here anyhow, right? Here you can read it, that this is the management console. We spoke of the different ways of accessing the services, right? So the first way of accessing the services, okay, by default, whenever you sign in for the first time, this is the first way you get to access the services, which is the AWS Management Console, okay, which is through GUI, which is browser-based GUI, right? So this is how you get to access the services. Okay, so let's again go to IAM. So this is my IAM service. Okay. I like the previous one actually. Yeah, maybe because no, I'm not still habitual of seeing this. Though it looks good only, but still. Okay. Yeah, so there are few things that comes in picture when you talk about IAM. First of all, try to understand what does this IAM standing for. So it is standing for Identity and Access Management. Okay, so it is something related to access management, right? So access, when we talk about web services, then what are we trying to access here? So whatever services is being provided by this account, that comes in picture. Okay, so what you're trying to access is nothing but the services which are being provided by this account. Okay, and yeah, so this is one thing. And what all things that we have to understand is, first is users, second is roles. Okay, it's not second. Roles will come afterwards. Roles is something that I want you people to answer me first. Okay, like I want the answer from you, whether what as per you is roles. Okay, then after users, no, go for user groups, then policies. Okay, yeah, these are the things that we need to go for. Let me do one thing. I'll explain you about users, but before that, let me tell you something about the MFA. Okay, MFA is nothing but multi-factor authentication. Okay, so that means another layer of security. Okay, so that means if you want your account to be like fully secure, I'm not saying like, if you put multiple layers of security, still your account should be safe or something. But then again, it is a high level of security, right? Still, if somebody is still trying to just get into it, I mean that's a other case overall. But frankly speaking, multi-factor authentication is another layer of security that you're trying to add to your account. Okay, so you can add it to your root account. Okay, all that you have to do is you I mean once you decide like what way of authentication you want. Okay, so now there are multiple ways in which you can activate the multi-factor authentication. One of the way is through software. Okay, so you can install some softwares which can be helpful to do the same. Okay, so there is the Google Authenticator, which is an app which you can download in your mobile phones. Okay, so basically what happens is the moment you install it in your mobile phones, when you are going for signing up in your system, okay, sorry, in your account, at that time it will ask you for providing some passcodes. Okay, so the just at that point of time, if you look at your given authenticator, okay, it will provide you with some passcodes. You just need to provide it. So when I did for the first time, it was like it was giving some passcode like twice. Okay, so consecutively, so you just need to provide those two consecutive passcodes. Okay, as and when you are signing up. And it keeps on changing. Okay, so it may remain for a minute or so, and it keeps on varying soon. Okay, so within that period of time, you just need to provide those like two times whatever it shows, no passcodes. You just need to provide it, and that's it. You will be able to sign into your account. Apart from the other layer of security, okay, when this is just a added layer, so the other layers are something which is going to be anyhow followed. And yeah, this is about the software part. Apart from that, there are some devices also which can be used for activating the MFA. Okay, I think I have seen that yesterday, right? We have seen. So there are some other hardware MFA devices. So here also what they are mentioning, no, the U2F security key. Here also they are saying YubiKey or any other compliant U2F device. Okay. So that way also you can, I mean, if you are using that way, you can do that. Okay, so just basically some device which is providing you with some given way of authenticating. Okay, or providing the multi-factor authentication. And software is something which I have tried, so I can tell you that better. So that is what I just mentioned earlier. So if you want to try this, no, all you need to do is just download that Google Authenticator in your mobile phones, and as and when it is asking for the passcode, whatever displays in your phone, no, you just need to provide the same, I mean, like the OTP. Okay, OTP kind of thing will appear, so you just need to provide that as and when signing up. I think there is more to it, but then if you want, I can show you like at least creating the users. Tell me one thing, are you people like understanding things, or is it like you want me to start it on a different day? Or should I continue? Hmm? If it is fine, I'll continue. I'll at least show you like how you can create a user. Huh? Okay, or never mind, I'll do it some other day. I mean, tomorrow we'll see about the IAM part. Okay, so we'll see the different things like the users, roles, groups, and policies. And even we'll see one more thing, which is the how to use the AWS CLI. Okay, so if you look at my system, since it's already there, right? So if I check AWS version, yeah, so can you see I already have the version 2 with me. Okay, so this is the version of my AWS CLI. So using this also I can access the services. Okay, so if I want to, one of the main thing that you need to do or need to understand is that whenever you have any CLI based and I mean anything, any services or anything, okay, whenever you are dealing with CLI, one of the things that you should understand is how to access the help manual, right? So yeah, so here you will find the details on how you can access the different services and how you can proceed. But then again, if this looks a little complicated, another way of doing this is you can do it this way also. So if I talk about AWS, in AWS there are different services, right? So if I'm concerned with IAM, I can mention IAM and then I can look for help. That also can be done. Okay, so it will even give you the list of commands. Okay, can you see available commands? So you can scroll down and check for the command that you require. Okay, and you can like just mention those commands and you can use it. Okay, so basically always try to learn how to reach the help, this one. Okay, how to use the help utility. Okay, so this is going to help you in the long run. Okay, anyhow, we'll do one thing. We'll try to use this help utility and even the command line, okay, tomorrow, when you people have already installed your, the CLI and the account. Okay, AWS account, everything. If you have created for yourself, no, then I think we can experiment with this, so that whatever I'm doing, you can also parallelly try with your system. Okay, so that way you have a better understanding. This way, if you see, and just if you're going to see things, you may not understand it much, because there are, again, just like in Django, no, here in AWS also there are quite many steps involved. Okay, so if you just look at this, you may not understand it. You have to do it in order to understand it. Okay, so please make sure that you create your account at least by today. Okay, so that by tomorrow, whatever I'm doing, you can also try the same thing in your system. Okay, so that way you will gain more understanding of the services, the things that we are trying to do. Okay, understood? Okay, I'm not going to proceed further. Don't worry, I'll show you the creation of user and all tomorrow. Okay, so let this be the things that you learned for today. Tomorrow we'll learn something new. Okay.